Today we're going to make an apple crisp. Camera girl made an apple pie the other day, so I've been hankering for an apple pie, but I don't want to make an apple pie, so I'm going to make an apple crisp, which tastes like an apple pie, but it requires less finesse. Get on the skillet here, and I think I got it on medium heat. I'm not sure if it's heated up enough, but we're going to drop in some butter, boom, and we're going to let that melt, stir it around, and let it get a little bit of color to it. And this is the first thing we're going to want to do because we're going to add it to part of our mixture later, but we want it to be cooled down when we do that. Bubbling away, I turn my heat down and pay attention to it here, so I'm going to just keep an eye on it, stir it here at the last few moments. So that's as long as I'm going to give it, and that's going to give it add a nice little bit of flavor. So just having that little bit of brown in your butter is going to add a little bit of flavor.
And it just appears.
So we'll get it off the heat, and now we're going to let this sit and let it cool completely before we do anything with it. This is going to be the
crisp part.
Crisp mixture. But we need a big bowl. I'm going to throw in some flour. I'm going to throw in some oats, but I'm not going to throw all these oats in here. I'm going to throw in a lot of these oats. And then I'm going to save about a cup or a cup and a half of oats, you know, to add a little bit later. We got a whole bunch of brown sugar, lots of cinnamon. You can add some nutmeg if you want to. You could add some cloves if you want to. And this is going to be an apple ginger crisp.
Yeah.
So I'm putting some ginger in here with this mixture as well. Give this kind of a pre-stir here before we add our butter. Alright, I got big chunky chunks of brown sugar here. So I'm going to throw my butter in here. This is butter right out of the fridge. It hasn't been softened. We're just going to go ahead and cut it up. Lots of butter in there. So I'm going to take a knife and fork. Go ahead and cut my butter up into here. Now that I got it into some smaller pieces, I'll just go ahead and let the tines of the fork cut through the butter. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in my remainder of oats. You know, so it'll add a little extra chunkiness to the dish. And then I'm going to throw some pecans in here. And you can add whatever kind of nuts you want. These are toasted pecans. We got lots of nuts. So there we have it all mixed up. So get you another bowl and crack an egg in there. Boom, and that's a good start. And I'm going to whisk this up. And here's a little bit of sugar going to add in there. I'm going to go ahead and stir this together and get this egg and this sugar mixed up nice and smooth. That looks groovy smooth. Throwing in a little bit of vanilla and a whole heap of ginger, just some freshly minced ginger. You know, we put some in the crumble part, but we're putting a lot of it here too. And a lot of cinnamon. Boom. So we get everything all mixed up. And now we're going to cut our apples up to go in here. So now we got our apples washed up. I got 3 Granny Smiths and I got one of this. I forget which kind this is. What kind is this?
Was it a Honey Crisp?
It was expensive. But you want to use these because these are great apples for cooking.
Granny Smith.
Yeah. We're going to cut our apples up. You can cut them into slices. You can cut them into chunks. You can cut them in any which size you want. You know, just want them kind of uniform. Alrighty, so we got all our Granny Smith apples chopped up. We got our Fancy Pants apple cut up into some chunks. Then I also reserved some of the thin slices. We're going to use this to decorate the top of our crisp. And now our butter should be cooled down completely. So I'm going to go ahead and add this into the mix. But you want to make sure before you add the butter that it's nice and cool. You don't want to add hot butter in here. Alright, so we got it all mixed up together here. And now we're going to add our apples in here. And get this coated all over our apples. So stir it up and get your apples nice and coated in this cinnamon butter mixture. And I'm going to go ahead and take my slices and throw them in here so I can get a little bit of this coating on my sliced apples too. Boom, and then I'm going to fish my slices out just so I can use a couple of these to top my crisp. Boom, boom, boom. So we'll set this aside. And this here is an ungreased baking dish. And we don't have to grease it because we've got our butter cut up in our mixture here. And I'm just going to go ahead and spoon about half of this mixture on the bottom of my dish. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and smash this out and get it all around the bottom of my dish. And it seems very dry, but you know a lot of moisture is going to cook out of these apples.
Well,
and this butter is going to melt. And so now we're just going to spread our apple mixture all across here. You know, kind of have a nice even layer all the way across. And we're just going to spread our apples out evenly. I'm going to go ahead and press it down into it because I still got a lot of stuff to put in this pan. But you know, if it's over full, that's good. You know, I'm not going to complain about having too much of this stuff. So I got my crispy bottom layer on there. Now I'm going to take my remaining top half and spread this over the top. We're going to spread it all out. Get everything nice and covered up.
Hide the treasure.
So we got this pan exactly full. I guess we made exactly the right amount. So we got our crispy layer on the bottom, we got our apple layer, and then we got a crisp layer on the top. So now we're gonna take our apple wedges and put a nice little design on there. And look how pretty that is. I'm an artist, but you know, if you're not an artist, don't feel pressured like you have to do this. You could just slide it in here without this. I mean, you would never know that I was a solid C student in geometry. But if you're a Freemason or an Illuminati and you want to put a fancy design like that on there, some secret symbol, you know, knock yourself out. But we're going to go ahead and slide it in the oven, preheat it to 350 degrees, let it cook away, and then see what happens. 30 minutes going, so we'll take a peek at it. And you can hear it bubbling a little bit and getting a little brown around the edges. And so we're going to let it cook for a little bit longer. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it around. So the other side will go in first. Boom. We'll continue to let it cook away. Check on it in about 15 minutes. Alrighty, so it has been 45 minutes.
Oh, it smells so
Hotter than
good.
hot. Smells super duper. The apples are starting to darken up on the edges, so that's plenty. That's plenty right there. And all we have are these big bowls. Whatever you don't eat, I'll eat of it.
Okay, that's plenty, buddy.
I'm gonna dollop just a wee little bit more on mine. This is definitely what I needed. When I saw you pull that apple pie out of the oven the other day.
Yeah, we gave it away.
Yeah, she made an apple pie to give to somebody. And I'm like, well, you know, that's great, but you gotta make me one too. You gotta have ice cream with it though. Go to myfoodchannel.com. You can print it out there.
That is too big a... Oh! Well, you do have a big mouth.